Recording in progress, indeed. So the thing is, why this webinar is here for various reasons. First of all, I just love talking about flogging. I think it's a wonderful and really rather mysterious practice, and I know there's a various a rather mysterious attraction it has. Maybe you've seen that. Well, I think if you're alive, have been alive over the past 5 years, you couldn't avoid the hype around 50 Shades of Grey, and farther back in time, of course, there's movies like the Story of O, and in popular culture too, there's a lot of whipping actually going on, and all that is a bit well, there's two sides to that. On the one hand, I must say there is something mysterious about flogging or whipping, and that mystery, well, at least for me, I know that when I was about 12, the movie The Story of Oak was released, and of course I was way too young. I didn't have a clue what it was about. But the advertisements were of this woman sitting there blindfolded, and that was it. She was just sitting there blindfolded, and I thought there's something very mysterious going on. Of course, being very young, I didn't have a clue what that might have been, but it looked mysterious. And when I think even earlier, when I was like 10, I was reading these comics of Prince Valiant, who was this medieval prince, warrior prince, and occasionally he'd be captured and put on a rack or whipped. And again, I was way too young to understand, the very real consequences of stuff like that. But I felt there was a mystery there, and actually, to this day, I still feel that. And so, what I like to do in this webinar is talk about that very mysterious side of flogging, and because flogging can be this amazing healing, spiritual, meditative practice, and extraordinarily beautiful. And so I mean, I guess that's what you're here for. But just to be on the safe side, so this is definitely not going to be about the sensual aspects of flogging, because there's that side to it too, of course. Whipping can be a very sensual practice. You can use it in your sensual experiences, and of course I have done that, and it's very enjoyable, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with sex. But sex is not the most important thing in the world, and sensual whipping, whereas it's fun, is not quite as interesting as the flogging that I want to talk about can be. So why do I think that? That is because it basically started some 12 years ago now, when I was watching, I was working as a lawyer, and I had a client who was a filmmaker. And so I was invited to the premiere of one of her films. Sorry. And as I was waiting for the film to begin, someone sat down next to me. A young woman wearing heels like that. And she just casually placed her legs over the seat in front of her. And so the first thing I noticed were these heels. And well, she noticed me noticing. And well, when the movie was over, we got to talking, basically didn't stop talking for another 10 years or so. And she was very much into BDSM. And up to that point, I always felt, I understand what it is about, but I didn't have any experience or actually any clue what it was about. And so she started taking me to parties, and these were, your black leather, dark, loud music events. And I felt rather apprehensive there. Yeah, it never ceases to amaze me how they're all the same, how it's all that. It's sort of, I never feel at ease there. Never did, probably never will. And so I think it was the second time or the third time we went anywhere. And again, I was a bit reluctant to go there, even though I liked it. I liked aspects of it. But I always wondered, what am I going to do here? And at some point she said, if you just learn to whip people really well, they'll be standing in line for you and you'll enjoy yourself. So I thought, okay, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. And I did. I took up flogging and well, lo and behold. So that was quite interesting. But I always felt still, it started out very much like a sensual practice. And as I was going through that, and I used to talk a lot, as I had various scenes like that, I again had that feeling, there's something much more mysterious here, and over that you can reach. And so over time, I really started looking for what is that? How can you get there? And the first thing really was to slow down, not try to do so much. The second thing basically was to shut up, because I was blathering all the time. I thought I have to, keep the energy going. And the third thing was how to really, how to find a way, and I still find this is very difficult, how to really find a way into my partner, how to really make that connection where you feel that you stop being this person doing something and this other person receiving something, and it becomes more like a whole, like one, well, let's say one energetic presence that is connected, and is also connected to a greater energy, I would say. And so as I was experimenting with that, one evening with my partner, I thought, well, let's let's do it like this. Let's take it really slow and actually really rather soft. Because I thought I want this thing to last, and it was just an intuition. And so I did, and I'll talk more about that in a bit. And then what happened was our session really did last. I mean, I think we were like, it was like 2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours of almost continuous whipping. And then at some point I thought, okay, you know, this, we're there, it's enough. And we stopped, and you know, and I asked, would you like a drink or something? Can I get you something? And she opened her mouth to talk, and she couldn't talk anymore. She could only giggle. And then, of course, she would begin giggling because she could only giggle. And this lasted for like an hour. And the day after that, well, she could talk again, but it was still this fantastic high. And that's when I thought, well, I'm onto something here. And so over these I think that was something like 5 years ago, maybe 6 by now, and I got much more serious about what I was doing. That I thought, well, this, you know, the body is a compass. It shows you the way, but where exactly does it lead you? You know, it speaks its own language, and it's really rather hard sometimes to understand what it's saying. And then at some point, people started to come to me. And I remember one day I said to my partner, so this person is coming over to be flogged by me. And she's going to travel like 10 hours just to have an encounter with me. And by that time I figured, well, there's more to this. And I think it is such a great practice. I mean, it's also fun. That I'm going to take this up as a practice, as a professional practice. And since that time, many people have come to me, which is humbling, I must say. The other day I had someone, it didn't happen in the end because of airplane troubles, but this person was going to fly over from the United States in order to have a session with me. So I think something's going on here, and I think that's really rather great, because I think this is an important thing, but I'll get back to you on that. Yeah, and so, you know, what is it that is going on? And that's, I mean, as I said, I can talk about this for hours, but that is in part because it is so mysterious. And I found over, you know, on a couple of occasions, and I more and more have that feeling that indeed when there is a particular type of, concentration, a type of concentration that begins with silence and truly tuning in to the other person. So at some point I started practicing. I got interested in energy healing. So I started practicing Reiki, and I started incorporating that, quite literally incorporating that in my flogging practice. And so now I begin a session with, well, like I said, I used to talk a lot, and now instead I just stand there and hold out my hand and feel the this mysterious energy that bodies have. That it really seems the body doesn't end where it ends. There's this energetic presence, and you can tune into that, and then it becomes one thing. And this is where the mystical part shows itself, is that you really seem to conjure up a world of, where magic happens, where something like ghosts and spirits show their presence. And a couple of months ago, I was in Berlin because I wanted for the website elema.org. I wanted to have some testimonials. So I offered free sessions to people who want to do a video testimonial. I don't know if you saw them, but there's one person, a man in his late 60s, I think, and he lost his wife of many years 2 years ago. And so we were going through this flogging ritual, and at some point he was crying, and then he was laughing, and there were tons of things happening there. And when the session was over, and we did the video interview, he said, at some point I felt the presence of my wife. And my friend who was there, who did the interview, asked, so what Eric was doing reminded you of what your wife used to do? And he said, no, my wife was with us in the room. And that is what I'm talking about. These things happen. I've had another occasion where again, someone who'd lost his partner, and he said, when you touched me, your hands, they weren't your hands. They were his hands. And I was sort of, yeah, well. And he said, no, there was distinct difference. At moments, I felt the energy coming off your hands, and then something happened and they were no longer your hands. And I've had more occasions like that where it's obvious that there's this you can really use flogging as something to, the body is a portal. And somehow it seems that this kind of flogging is the key, and you step into another dimension where there's more possibilities. That's one aspect of this type of meditative flogging. What I also think is incredibly interesting is there's a healing aspect to it. And I'm not quite sure how that works, so I'm just going to speculate a little there. But again, I noticed this for the first time when I had a client, and as it turned out, she was really rather reluctant to actually show up. And then it turned out she came from a very violent background, you know, a family in which, well, there was everybody got mistreated, and so for some reason she had decided, cheers, that she decided that she wanted to have this experience. Wow. And then she did decide to come and got the shivers, the shakes, and well, we talked about it a bit, and decided to go ahead anyway. And it was amazingly beautiful, because she, you know, she took her place, and you know, I always ask people, you know, if you want to take off your clothes, that is very practical for me, and you know, but you don't have to. It's up to you. You can wear whatever you like, as much as you like. We'll find our way. And so she took off some clothes, and she moved to the place where she you know, I thought, this is the place where I'd like you to stand. And she started crying at once, literally shaking from fear. And so we did not think. I just stood with her for a while, and we just sort of, without words, let this greater knowledge, I guess the innate wisdom of the body, we let that connect. And then slowly we went through the process. As we went on, you know, she started tossing off more and more clothes and saying, "Oh, let me take this off. Oh, let me take that off." And from fear and crying from this traumatic experience, instead she started smiling and really enjoying the thing. And when we were done, and again, this is a testimonial on the website, she said it had really shifted her mind space. She'd really been able to process this. And again, I've had more people like that, and I'm you know, humbled that people choose to have these experiences with me. But, and that, of course, that is the point, they could have these experiences, you know, with well, and that's why I've begun teaching this. I think these mystical and healing experiences, we can all have them, and probably we can all use them. You know, you could have them with your partner. It's so there is such wisdom available in this practice, because I was talking to a psychologist friend this afternoon, and she just read a book called "The Body Keeps the Score." I only know the title. I'm definitely going to read it. I should have, I guess. And the gist of that thing is that, of course, that whatever happens, and specifically traumatic experiences, they take their place in the body and they don't ever leave again. And I find that in this meditative flogging, we can use the wisdom of the body. We can sort of tease it out and then turn it into a different kind of experience. And I think that is where the meditative aspect also comes in. So we have this weird magic that we conjure up. We have this healing, this soothing aspect to it, and there is that aspect of as one energy to really sink into what is it with me tonight. Shouldn't have eaten, I guess. Well, bear with me. So yeah, this and that is an aspect that has to do with time and rhythm. That like I said, when I started out, I was over-eager. Well, I didn't say that, but I'll say it now. I'll admit it. Over-eager. I wanted, results. I thought that, my head was filled up with with that imagery of popular culture, where people get whipped. It's like whip, and they go, ah! And you think, oh, okay, so that is apparently what we're doing here. And it took me a while to figure out that is not what we're doing here. Because really it's there's no art to hurting anyone. In fact, that's the easiest thing to do. Of course, when I started teaching this stuff and I started talking to people about it, by that time I had completely forgotten how many years it had actually taken me to understand this, and so when I started talking about it, and people started asking, basically their first question would always be, well, yeah, that sounds very nice, but doesn't it hurt? And it took me a while to figure out that the answer to that is really that it doesn't, basically, because what happens when you go through this process and you take this meditative approach, is that the body can really ease into it. And as the body relaxes, fear dissipates, and pain, pain and pleasure are they have the place, they share the same space in the brain. And there are a lot of sensations that you might classify as pain in different circumstances. But when you take this meditative route, the body and the brain, they start working together. The brain teaches the body teaches the brain, and pain is really not what it's about at all. and I think when I say, well, it's meditative flogging, it's a mystical, a healing, and yes, a meditative experience. That is because this divide between pleasure and pain, it is no longer something that you need even think about. It all becomes part of the sensation of being in the moment, the sensation of being together, the sensation of sharing this one experience. And even though you're on different sides, there's one person giving, there's another person receiving, it is the same thing. It's the energy that's going back and forth. And yeah, I think that is just amazingly beautiful, which is why after I decided to take this up as a professional practice, a little later I thought I really need to teach this. More people need to know about this, which is why I started an e-course, and I'll talk about that a little later. But of course, when I started filming for the e-course, and when I wanted to put that up, I was immediately confronted with another aspect, which I talked about earlier, because the second question people ask, well, the first is basically, does it hurt? And the second question is, yeah, but isn't that like some dark sexual thing? And well, first of all, it needn't be dark. I mean, sex by now, I think it's 2021. It may maybe take its place in the light. But like I found that of course it has a sensual aspect to it. You're working with the body, and the body, when it starts experiencing pleasure, that can also mean arousal. But which is of course what I would recommend, by consciously deciding, this is not where we're going to go. We are not going to pay attention to the genitals, whether you like it or not. We're simply not going to do that. That's when this there's the energy that is conjured up will find a place. It will actually be transformed and be put to use. And also the thing with sex is, of course, and that's also why sex is great, it pulls you into your body. Whereas what I'm trying to achieve with meditative flogging is to use the body to go beyond the body. And so what I teach as a sexual practice, I think it's pretty worthless. Yeah, really, at the end of a meditative flogging session, you're exhausted, you may be elated, but it's like a psychedelic experience in a way. In fact, so much so that I myself, I once had the experience that someone was flogging me, which I always find a bit scary, to be quite honest. And I put on a playlist of my favorite music. So these were all my favorite singers. And after a while, we have been flogging for a while. We took a little break, and I was listening to this music, my favorite music and my favorite singers, and I could no longer. I mean, I knew they were singing in English, but it sounded like complete gibberish to me. It really was that psychedelic experience, you know, where the sound just, it takes hours, time is stretched out, and you hear someone's voice, but it goes like, whoa. And it was, and I know this happens to many other people. And that is also why I say, you know, it's you can use this as a meditative practice, almost in the way like you use psychedelics. You know, I know people go searching for ayahuasca or mushrooms, and that is very interesting. But what I always find is the problem with drugs, also with psychedelic drugs, is you don't really know what is happening. I mean, you do put something in your body, and yeah, it changes your body, and then you have this experience. But is that you? What is it you're experiencing? Is that just a drug talking, or is it real? And the great thing with this type of flogging is that you know it's real because it's happening to you. You know, you're there, and the other person is there too, and the floggers are there, and you're not inebriated in any way. It's real, and then yet all these things start to happen, and your awareness changes, and you know, the intensity of the experience changes. Yeah, well, like I said, I can talk about this for hours because it's there's a reason I started to teach this now, and I when I hear myself say that, you know, there's a reason I'm doing this now. Yeah, and then I have to think, oh yeah, so well, what is that reason then? And I think it is in part because of these things. Like, I know, you know, I have many friends who dive into these drug-induced experiences, and that is not a value judgment at all. I mean, it's fun, it's interesting. The psychedelic experience is quite something. But what I think, what people are looking for is another way to look at what we experience as reality. And I think it's perfectly understandable that you know, people are searching for another kind of reality, because reality as it is, well, let's say reality has a few flaws. This pandemic thing we're going through, I think that's not the greatest thing that's happened to mankind in a while. And there's, you know, we all know this capitalist system is literally having people go insane. I have so many friends who have burnout and stuff, and I think that is because, you know, there's so much. Things are so oppressive, and so you really have to work to keep a good mood. And yeah, and I think, and call me a megalomaniac, that meditative flogging is a part of changing your outlook on the world. During an encounter, of course, something interesting is happening. But the effect lasts for much longer. And one of the aspects that I think is really important about it is that when you're going through an encounter with someone, through this very intense and mysterious process, you cannot help but feel love for that person, both on the giving side and on the receiving side. You know, you really make a connection that is beyond the body, and yet it is highly personal. I cannot say it another way. It's really, you cannot help but feel love. And I think that is just the most important thing we need. And I'm of course, I'm not saying, you know, go out and whip someone and you'll change the system and things will be good. But what I am saying is, you know, this is one of the ways that you can change your outlook, that you can really change your sense of that feeling of in a sense, I guess, being lost in the world. And that's why I say it's a partner practice. You meet up with a partner, you meet them in a place, and this is a place where love is conjured up. And so when you do that, when you go through that, the next day, in a sense, the world has changed. And because the world really is in need of change, I think what is going on is, you know, the change begins with you. It begins at the home. You know, it starts in every single one of us. So when you do this thing and you start to change yourself, well, you know, the world consists of you and me. So when you and I begin to change, and I guess become more loving, then we can actually change the world. You know, one person at a time. Yeah. And that is, so it begins with you, basically, and that's how you make, how you change your world around you and change society into a kind of more loving and, I guess, more intimate way, intimate place. And so I think it's extremely worthwhile. Plus, it's fun. You have that too, and that really is what you know. I have this vision of like a worldwide community of lovers and friends, and you have to start somewhere. And I think this is a pretty good place to start. So that's why I've begun teaching this now. And so I have an e-course up on Thinkific, which is basically, the course is basically like I mean, if it would be given as a live workshop, it would be something like, you know, a week, and then you've more or less come to a point where you can begin where you want to begin in earnest. And so the workshop the e-course condenses that into a reasonable aspect of time. Basically, it takes it's divided in 4 steps. There's some you have to know where you're at, so it teaches some mindset. You have to know where you came from, so there's some history also, because I think many people relate this to all kind of religious malpractice. So yeah, we need to know what we're dealing with. And then the 3rd step is, of course, the very practical aspect of learning skill, learning precision, getting to know your instruments. And then finally, how actually do you have an encounter with someone? How do you set up this practice? Where do you begin, which I always find is the hardest thing. And then how do you build the thing so that you do actually get somewhere? And I tend to, now I think of that as you're going for a walk in the mountains together. So it takes some time finding, where are we going to start climbing, and then together you walk up a hilly sort of slopey thing, and then you take your time to see the view, and then things get a little steeper, and that's where one person says, "Come on, we can do it," and the other says, "Well, I don't know," and so you go up, and what you want in the end, as the person giving the flogging, you want to take your partner all the way up and then say, "Well, look here, isn't the view magnificent?" And if things went well, they'll still be able to answer you and say, yes, the view is great. Or, otherwise they may just be able to giggle, and that's fine too. So yeah, so what I would want, that is definitely a part of this webinar, is I want you to learn this skill. I want, in my mind, I see stadiums full of people happily flogging each other, but we have to start somewhere. So we'll start with you. I want you to take this up. Go out, get the e-course, learn this skill, practice with your partner and your friends. And my partner at the time wasn't lying. If you learn how to whip people in an interesting way, they will stand in line for you. And I wrote this down. I was also thinking, no, it'll be Christmas soon. There's the holidays. What are you going to do? So you might as well whip someone. And to make that even more attractive, I have a bonus offer. Because at well, you heard me say this, or at least think it out, more or less out loud, that I want to take flogging out of the realm of the BDSM scene. I think it is a pity that it's wasted on black leather and dark dungeons. And it's really hard to not be constantly confronted with that, because whips, they tend to look, I happen to have one here, they tend to look, well, like these dark leathery things, don't they? And also, where you're going to find whips. You can go online, but then what are you looking at? And so you have to go to, well, a lot of stores where you would think, okay, let's go get a whip. They do not make it really attractive. Plus, the whips are these black leathery things which you wouldn't necessarily want around the house. So here's my bonus offer. I have begun making another kind of whip. That is from they look much nicer, which I think is very important. So it's no black leather, and this is actually a red one, but I also have an orange one, which I much prefer. It's like a soft, friendly kind of orange. I turned them inside out, so the suede side is on the outside, rather than this is the slick side that's a little dark and looking slick, and so you have this neat suede thing, and they do actually pack a punch. They're good. They will do what they're meant to do, and they're versatile. So you can start your sessions with them and be friendly. And at some point, when you start picking up speed and you increase your force and you start working with rhythm, and because rhythm is a very important aspect too, that's where they'll also work. So what I offer, if you take the course before the 3rd of November. That's when the offer ends. I will send you one of these floggers for free, which to my mind is a very attractive offer, because these really are, very nice floggers, which you can't buy anywhere. It saves you a trip to a dark little store, or wander about on the internet. And I also sell them on the website for 95 euros. But if you take the course before the 3rd of November, you get a flogger for free, and provided you're probably not in Russia or something, but in Europe at least, you'll have it way before Christmas, and then let the adventures begin. So now's your time. And that's basically all I have to say for now. So, and unless you have any questions for me, then is that a chat thing? I feel complete. Well, isn't that wonderful? Well, I'm very happy to hear that. I'll put the offer in there too. I don't know if you've seen the website. It's elema.org, and let's see if there's where do you actually find that? Hold on, bear with me. Where is the offer? The offer is right there. Learn flogging, it says. Well, that wasn't so very hard. Learn meditative flogging, indeed. So here we are. There it is. Thank you very much. It was fun having this monologue, but I really enjoyed you being there. Thanks.